Bay Village, Ohio, a picturesque town, tree-lined streets, a place where children could roam free. Amy Mihaljevic, a bright, bubbly 10-year-old, called this idyllic town home. With her infectious laugh and a heart full of dreams, Amy was the epitome of an all-American girl. She excelled at school, she adored her family. Life was simple, innocent, full of promise, until that fateful day. Amy lived with her parents, Margaret and Mark, and her older brother, Jason. The Mihaljevics were a close-knit family. They cherished their time together. Weekends were filled with laughter. They were living the American dream. No one could have predicted the nightmare that was about to unfold. October 27th, 1989, a crisp autumn day. The leaves were turning, painting the town in shades of gold and crimson. Amy woke up with a smile. She was excited about her upcoming horseback riding lesson. It was a Friday, promising a weekend filled with fun. After school, Amy came home to an empty house. It was a common occurrence. Both her parents worked. She didn't mind. She enjoyed the quiet time. She settled in to do her homework. The phone rang, shattering the peace. A man's voice, smooth, reassuring. He told Amy he worked with her mother. He said Margaret had received a promotion. He wanted to surprise her with a gift. He asked Amy to meet him at the Bay Square shopping centre. He would be waiting by the card shop. Amy hesitated. It seemed strange, but the man was persuasive. He knew details about her mother's work. He convinced Amy it was a wonderful surprise. She agreed to meet him. She called her mother's office just to be sure. Her mother wasn't there. Amy, her young mind trusting, decided to go. She grabbed her jacket and left the house. Bay Square Shopping Centre was bustling with activity. People came and went. Shoppers browsed. It was a place of normalcy. Amy, holding on to the promise of a surprise, looked around for the man. She spotted him near the card shop. He smiled, putting her at ease. They spoke briefly. Then they walked away together. No one thought anything of it. Hours passed. Margaret returned home from work. Amy wasn't there. At first, it wasn't a concern. Amy was a responsible girl. She always called if she was going to be late. As darkness fell, a knot of worry tightened in Margaret's stomach. It wasn't like Amy to disappear. Panic set in. She called the police. Section 5. A community in fear. The news of Amy's disappearance spread through Bay Village like wildfire. The idyllic town was in shock. Fear gripped the community. Children were no longer allowed to play outside alone. Parents walked their kids to school. The safe haven had been shattered. The police launched a full-scale investigation. The FBI was called in. Search parties scoured the area. Every lead was followed. Every tip was investigated. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Still, there was no sign of Amy. Hope began to dwindle. The community held its breath, waiting, praying for a miracle. Section 6. Whispers and Shadows. The investigation uncovered a chilling detail. Amy had received a phone call at home shortly after her abduction. She sounded calm, almost happy. This led investigators to believe she was with someone she knew, or someone who had gained her trust. Witnesses at the mall described the man last seen with Amy. A composite sketch was released. Tips poured in, each one offering a glimmer of hope, each one leading to a dead end. The case grew colder with each passing day. The mystery deepened. Section 7. Dead ends and false hope. Years passed. The investigation continued. The police followed countless leads. They interviewed thousands of people. They investigated convicted sex offenders. They even looked into a possible connection to a similar case in Pennsylvania. Still, Amy's abductor remained elusive. There were suspects. Dean Runkle, a teacher who resembled the composite sketch, became a person of interest. He refused to provide a DNA sample, fueling suspicion. But there was not enough evidence to charge him. Another man, Robert Ivan Nichols, who later died by suicide, was investigated after his death. He had a history of violence against women. But again, there was no direct link to Amy's case. Section 8. A glimmer in the darkness. In a heartbreaking turn of events, Amy's body was found on February 8, 1990. It was discovered in a field, 50 miles from Bay Village. She had been murdered. The news devastated the community. The hope that had flickered, however faintly, was extinguished. Forensic evidence was collected, DNA samples were taken, but the technology at the time was limited. The case remained cold. Years turned into decades. Amy's murder became a haunting reminder of the evil that can lurk in the shadows. but the fight for justice never wavered. Section 9. A plea for justice. Today, over 35 years later, Amy's case remains unsolved, but it is not forgotten. Advances in DNA technology offer a glimmer of hope. The evidence is being re-examined, new leads are being pursued. Someone, somewhere, knows what happened to Amy Mihaljevic. They hold the key to unlocking the mystery that has haunted Bay Village for far too long. To those who may have information, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem, please come forward. Help bring closure to Amy's family. Help ensure that justice, though delayed, is ultimately served. Please break the silence. Contact the Bay Village Police Department or the FBI if you have any information. Amy deserves justice.